So thank you for joining us. As I indicated, Dr. Bruce Lipton is my professor at Quantum University, and this class is inspired by his work, The Biology of Belief. And you can check him out on YouTube and on his website. He has a lot of beautiful resources available. And the reason why I'm teaching this today is because it's changed me. And how it changed me is that, as many of you know, I had a serious brain injury 3 years ago. And in my progress of getting better, it was very challenging. At first, I was diagnosed with a bunch of illnesses every year. My first year after the accident, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic pain. I was diagnosed with inflammatory arthritis. I had PTSD, and then I had serious depression as well. I actually went to a really dark place. And after 2.5 years of 6 specialists and 7 different treatments, I did physioacupuncture, I had a neurologist, psychiatrist, I even arthritis specialist. Even though I don't have arthritis, I would get arthritis crisis. And so it was very difficult. And in March of 2024, the doctors had a serious talk with me where it's like, hey, we're into the period of time now where we're going into long term. And so we're going to approve you for disability. And actually that didn't really work for me because I wanted to go back to work. And my doctors wouldn't clear me to go back to work. They said I could work 4 hours a week. And that didn't work for me. So I eventually looked for my own way to heal, and that was with Quantum University. I enrolled into the doctorate track and started to study. And at first it was very difficult. I had a series of new diagnoses: dyslexia, learning disability, inability to do cognitive work, remember what I was studying, passing exams. It was just extremely difficult. And this course that I am sharing with you today, it changed so much for me, because then I realized, and he speaks a lot about that, like how the doctor's words can actually be so detrimental to somebody's health. Like if the doctor says you have 2 weeks to live, even if you don't have anything wrong with you, the odds are you will actually probably die within 2 weeks. So it's the biology of belief and how deep that runs within ourselves. So it's an incredible class. I hope you enjoy it. And with that, I'm going to get started. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to get started. And I welcome all of your questions and comments as we go through the class. Or even after the class, please feel free to reach out and let me know, how did it feel for you? Do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? I welcome it all, because this class is for you, so I want it to be good for you. So with that, we're going to share a little PowerPoint presentation with you. So this is a fancy class. Let's see here. We're going to go full screen. And we're going to go slideshow. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Let me see here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to make this quick and painless, hopefully. Here we go. And how do I add it to here? I did practice before this. Here we go. I found it. I did practice, so, but I'm forgetting my practicing, obviously. Okay, slideshow. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me. Let's see what this looks like. It should be a screen. Whoops. Let's see what that looks like. Here we go. Oh, perfect. Yes, it looks great. Okay, here we go. So, oh, I'm actually going to keep this open. So if you put comments in the live, I'll be able to answer you. So as we go through the class, please feel free to go ahead and put your comments on Facebook. So here we go. Like I said, this class is about the biology of belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Here we go. And the copies and the images is copy written to Dr. Bruce Lipton. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Our objective is going to be to understand the connection between our beliefs and biology, explore the basics of epigenetics, and learn how the subconscious pattern shapes our lives. So the renowned cell biologist and the author of Biology of Belief is Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a pioneer in the field of epigenetics. He actually was a genetic scientist back a few years ago. I'm not going to say long time because he might be offended, but a long time. And at the time, it was all about the genes. The genes were being discovered, and people were like, wow, these genes, they basically, these genes map out our entire life. What genes we're born with is the genes that we're going to have our entire life. And he actually was finding in his study that genes are always changing. They're always responding to the environment that they're in, and particularly the cells. The cells are responding to the environment that they're presented with. And so he was kind of going against the grain. He was the only one talking about this. And pharmaceutical was obviously really interested in genes. And so there was a lot of money to be made in that. But he kept to his belief and kept to his studies, thankfully, because today he's brought us so much knowledge. So the first myth is that the biological process employs Newton physics. And so what does that mean? It means that those genes are written in stone, and you're born with them, and it's going to determine that if your mother had, let's say, for example, cancer, and your father had heart disease, you're very likely to have both, or one or the other. Of course, there are genetic-based diseases like birth challenges and things like that. But that is only like about 1% of the population. The rest, the 99% of us, we actually have a huge impact on our genes. So the biology through the subconscious mind, like our subconscious mind is actually the one that's determining our behaviors, our perceptions, and more importantly, our cellular behaviors. So he is the one that was one of the first to say, hey, genes are not your destiny. Environment and belief matter so much more. And what does that mean? So that's what we're going to study in this class. And there's so much more on this topic. I mean, I could talk for days, so I'm not going to do that. So myth perception number 2, genes control biology. That is not the case. Genes are ever changing. Our cells are ever renewing. Everything is always refreshing and growing and changing. What is true is that the environmental factors influence gene expression. So genes are like, let's say they're like this lip balm, right? So the outside, let's say the outside is the cell the skin of the cell. And this skin is actually on the outside is very soft like bread. In the middle of the skin, it's thick and water resistant like butter. And on the inside, it's like bread again. And so if we wanted something to enter the cell, it wouldn't really work because it's like breathing and it's not, and then it's breathing again. And so for it to enter, what we need is a key. And that opens up the connection into the cell, and then things can be received and sent back. And so when we think of that, we have to realize that the keys that we're feeding ourselves become what we become, and the thoughts and the stress levels, all of those things are impacting us all the way to our cellular level. And so for me, in my experience and my story, my beliefs and what I was hearing from the world, even my loved ones were saying, don't worry about it, just relax. You're retired, just relax, and it's going to be okay. And so all of those beliefs create the continuity of who we are. But in fact, we can reverse a lot of that, and we can change just through our perception of our own biological response. Myth number 3 is the survival of the fittest. Now, this is a complex situation. Basically, what they discovered is if they put a bunch of cells into a Petri dish and then another one in another Petri dish, only certain will thrive and do well. And it was translated as the survival of the fittest. But in fact, it's more the death of the weakest. Many cells will survive. So let's say you have 100 cells, there's only like a dozen that will not continue on. And so when you're focused only on the top percent, you're not paying attention to the 88-90% of the other cells that are continuing to thrive, and that can all be ignited and renewed and healthy cells. And so this is a really important point. Evolution, in fact, is a random process. It is not predetermined. I'm sorry, no. The myth is that evolution is a random process. It is not. Evolution is determined by our beliefs, by our action. 95% of what we do, what we think, and what we feel governs who we are, all the way down to the cellular level. Programs formed in early childhood can stick with you for a lifetime. What you're taught in those first few years of life, they're like rivers in your brain. Once they are flowing, nothing can stop it. Water is stronger than everything, stronger than rocks, stronger than fire, stronger than anything else. And so once those traits and behaviors grooves are so deep, it basically is then on repeat. Every minute of your life is a repeat of the minute before. And we become subconscious and governed by our action. And a lot of that is influenced by our environment and our choices. So it's just really fascinating, right? Because it determines our ability to thrive, our ability to transform. And that's what I learned from him. I literally took his class in March, and by July, I was acing my exams. I was thriving. I was feeling so good. I still, of course, was working things out. I still had a lot of physical pain in my neck and shoulders. I was getting migraines. I still had issues, but my brain that was broken was coming back strong. By July, I was working 25 hours a week minimum, sometimes more, on my own business. And I was studying on top of that in university. And I haven't studied in university in 35 years, but I was doing really well. And so it's just incredible the power of our subconscious mind and our beliefs. So we come back a little bit to Isaac Newton, because of course he's huge, right, in physics. And this is the relationship there is that quantum physics is teaching us what we're learning about biology through the biology of belief. So that's why there's a connection between physics and what I'm teaching. If it doesn't make sense to you guys, please reach out to me. And so here we're talking about the materialism and the celestial mechanics. And how does that then become our limiting beliefs? Many of those limiting beliefs are taught to us in the first few years of life. I'm not good enough. I will never succeed. Women should be seen, not heard. Crying is ugly. You should never cry. Things like that. They really become who we are. So I want to invite you to a reflection activity here. Just grab your favorite journal, and I want you to write down some personal patterns in your limiting beliefs, in your belief system. What is it that you believe about yourself? And I want you to message me with those beliefs. You can comment here in the group, or you can message me directly if you want it to be more private. What are those big beliefs? Like, oh my gosh, like I'm not smart. My brain is broken. I am disabled. Those were huge for me. Just a few months ago, it hasn't even been a year, right? My health has improved 95% by changing my beliefs, changing my environment, reprogramming myself all the way to every single cell. We have trillions of cells in our body, and they are constantly being rewritten. But now I'm the writer, not my past, not my future. I am in charge of the writing of my destiny. And that's why this class is so important to me. Some of the ways that we're going to shift perception, of course, is mindfulness practice, because that's needed to even identify those beliefs. Like when you're in that situation when you say, I have to, I don't want to, but I must. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Think, how is that connected to your biology of belief? And then there's the affirmation and visualization technique. This is huge, you guys. After this class, I recorded my own affirmations and visualization technique with my own voice. And every night as I go to bed, I hit play, and everything that I said in those affirmations are now who I am. And so I had to record new ones. And if you need help with your affirmations, please reach out. They should be short enough so that when the recording says it, you have time to repeat it. And it's great to do it at night, because at night, if it's the last thing you hear, that's where you access your subconscious. And so you really have a chance to reprogram, change what is being said in here. Journal prompts for belief awareness, that's huge, right? That's like, what are my beliefs? What is it that's serving me? And what is it that is no longer serving me? I have to stay in my marriage for my kids. I have to be quiet about this. I'm not going to win this fight. Like, what is it that you're telling yourself that's not serving you at all? So take 5 minutes here and go back to your journal and write down these 2 questions. What is the one belief holding you back? And where do you think this belief originated? So the 2 questions again, what is the one belief holding you back? And where do you think this belief originated? So here's your homework, guys. Observe and record your beliefs in real time this week. Catch yourself. Catch yourself. What limiting beliefs surfaced today? How did it influence your actions? Like for me to be told, hey, this may be long term. You may be disabled forever. And I sold my car because I was like, yeah, I might. I believed it. There was definitely a huge period in my life where I believed it. And when my loved ones would say, well, what are you going to do? I told them, I don't know. I actually don't know. And so, yeah, what limiting beliefs are surfacing for you today? And how did they influence your actions? And in the next few classes, we're going to talk about those things and how we can debunk them. So thank you so much for attending the session today. Please, the next class is going to be rewriting a subconscious pattern, and share your reflections, please, in next week's class about how did it impact you, how did it change you, and please put in your comments. If you don't want your comments to be public, please message me directly. I'm very happy to help. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely evening with a lot of love from this beautiful paradise in Mexico. I hope that you can all come and join me March 7th to the 9th for transformative time in your life. Rewrite who you are. Lots of love. Bye.